Well, good morning, everyone. In Mayor Boniface's absence, I'll be looking after the meeting this morning. So welcome to all my council, all my friends, and all the citizens who are watching. We're back fresh off of the Alberta Munis Convention, so I anticipate we'll have lots of good ideas this morning at our council meeting. So welcome to the November 18th regular council meeting of the Town of Rocky Mountain House. The first thing on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. So I'm just looking for someone to move for the agenda.
I moved.
Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move the agenda be approved as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Stalker. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. This morning we have a delegation with us. We have Ben Worth, the library manager, and Lori Pratt, the board chair. Please feel free to come up and grab a chair. And the only request is to turn on the mics when you speak. You're here to talk about the 2026 budget. So we look forward to hearing from you. Please feel free.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and good morning, Deputy Mayor and Council. First off, I'd like to say congratulations on your recent elections, and I wish you all the best for your upcoming term. My name is Lori Pratt, and I serve as the chair of the Rocky Mountain House Public Library Board. I'm joined today by our library manager, Ben Worth. We are here to present our updated 2026 operating budget along with an emergency request related to our 2025 budget shortfall. This year, we found ourselves in a unique and unexpected situation due to the amalgamation of the town of Caroline into Clearwater County and the creation of the new Clearwater County Library Board. As a result of the structural change, the town of Rocky Mountain House Library is no longer eligible for Rural Services Funding Grant provided by the province of Alberta, a grant that was historically supported 3 libraries, Caroline, Nordegg, and Rocky Mountain House. This grant was intended to ensure that the residents from rural areas could continue accessing services in our library system. Without notice, the entire $46,000 allocation that previously supported Rocky Mountain House was redirected exclusively to Clearwater County through their provincial library grant. We only became aware of this funding change in October after we had already voted on and submitted our 2026 budget to both town and county following our board meeting on September 24th, 2025. This late notification left no time to prepare or adjust our budget planning. As a result, we now face a 2025 funding shortfall of $46,000, and we have been required to revise our 2026 budget request, increasing our municipal ask from both the town and county to ensure continued service levels and operational stability. We've equally split the emergency 2025 request between the town and county and have resubmitted both our updated 2026 budget and emergency funding request for your review. Ben has also prepared a detailed timeline documenting the events and decision points that led us to this situation. We will gladly provide it and answer any questions you may have. We understand this represents a significant increase in funding, and we do not take this request lightly. Our board has a strong commitment to responsible stewardship of public resources, and we are focused on ensuring that our community continues to receive the library services it relies on: literacy support, technology access, programming for all ages, and a safe gathering space for residents across our region. Thank you for your time, support, and ongoing partnership with the Rocky Mountain House Public Library. We welcome your questions, and Ben is also here to provide any context and answers to any questions you have as well.
Thank you, Lori. Does council have any questions? Councillor Stalker. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, Councillor Kalin.
Sorry, Mayor. Deputy Mayor. When I was reading through some of these budget notes and the letter that you sent forward to us, the first question I thought of to myself is, what kind of effect did you guys see the recent school closures have on the library?
Yeah, we saw a significant increase in foot traffic with the recent teachers' strike. So we We tried to supplement that a bit with some additional programming, but the timing worked out with our October Golden Ticket Challenge. So regardless of the strike happening, we had a daily scavenger hunt, which a lot of families, took advantage of and really enjoyed as something to bring their kids into, as something, a diversion for part of the day. But yeah, we did see pretty significant increase in foot traffic and borrowing during that time.
Thank you.
Councillor Stalker?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So the name of the grant again, sorry, it went by too quickly.
Sorry, I talk fast when I'm nervous.
That wasn't it.
Okay. It was a provincial rural services grant that historically has been, Ben will correct on anything I get wrong here, I'm sure, but it was directed through Parkland Regional Library and on guidance of Clearwater County on how to allocate the grant to the 3 libraries in the area. And that provincial rural services grant is specific to rural areas that don't have a municipal library. So it was, I can't remember the exact percentage that went between each, but it supported Caroline, Nordegg, and Rocky Mountain House.
And if I understood correctly from what you were saying, maybe I didn't pick it up correctly, that grant is still present, but it was directed to the county?
No, so what happened with the creation of the Clearwater Library Board, it became part of their block provincial library grant funding, which is similar to what we get. But we had budgeted in 2024 for that grant and didn't find out until October of 2025 that we were not receiving it. So it affects the 2025 year as well as the 2026 year.
I guess what I'm trying to understand, the grant was given to the greater county.
Yes.
So the money was allocated, the county has chosen not to, or the board or whoever it is that, am I reading this correctly?
Yeah, the library board, because it was directed directly to the library board, they chose to keep the entire grant because it was part of their library operating grant. So technically, the rural services grant was not awarded. It's because of the timing of everything. Because we receive our funding, of course, from town and county early in the year because of our budget year, but the funding from the province comes partway through the year. So usually around June, sometimes into July. And so that's when that rural services grant would usually come in. So, but because the Clearwater County Library Board was formed in May, it dissolved that public services grant and amalgamated into their actual provincial library grant. So they get it as a funding envelope as a provincial library grant.
Yes. So I'm wondering what, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm wondering what discussions took place between you and I think you referred to as Clearwater provincial, or the Clearwater, like, because the money came in, they just didn't allocate it the same way it always has, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah,
The
and
money came at that level to the new board. I'm wondering what discussions happened between you folks and the new board saying, gee, we're now 46,000, I believe it was 46, if my memory serves me right, $46,000 short, because here's where we spent this money in the past. What was the discussion that happened there that the board didn't say, oh, I see why you need that money? They got the money correctly? Or
yes,
correct?
they
Okay.
received the funding. And so we've attempted, there's been several attempts on our side to meet with the Clearwater County Board. They were understandably still getting their feet under them and figuring out like all of their, because they were just formed in May, and we had put forward informal requests. We've put forward formal requests, and that meeting did not happen at all, even on repeated requests before. And Sorry, I'm trying to be very careful.
Sorry.
No worries. I have a big political background too, so I know how to bite my tongue. That's a great thing to say on camera. Anyways, so we've put the request in. We did attend their, Ben and I attended their organizational meeting on November the 10th, was it? Yeah. So just last week. And that was the first any kind of face-to-face we'd had with the new library board after the election. Of course, everything was exacerbated by an election and changes in the makeup of the Clearwater board, as well as the makeup of both councils. So we're still hoping to have a board-to-board meeting soon, but we've been told very explicitly that they're not interested in sharing that funding with us.
Councillor Stalker?
Thank you for that. I know this is a bit of a, I don't want to put you in a bad position at all in relation to that discussion between yourselves and the board about the rationale, and I don't necessarily need to know what that is the rationale why they didn't forward that money to the Nordic, Caroline, and Rocky. Has that it doesn't sound like that discussion's taken place, the particulars of why that money, although it came in, wasn't forwarded.
Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so with the formation of the Clearwater County Library Board, it was brought to our attention and Clearwater County's attention that because of that new structure, that the former rural services grant from the province was no longer applicable, and rather, as Lori said, there would be a provincial operating grant going directly to the Clearwater County Library Board. So, Parkland Regional Library identified that could cause a significant funding disruption for our library board. Passed that information on to the county. County worked to form a memorandum of understanding document to be presented to both the Town of Rocky Library Board and Clearwater County Library Board. And that came to our June library board meeting. We discussed it, suggested some revisions. There were some questions about the overall funding distribution that was brought back to county staff for revision to then present to the Clearwater County Library Board for their opinion. And at their July meeting, at that point, it's like, okay, things are changing. This could be a problem, but we have this document on our end, with some slight revisions. It looks very reasonable. It was presented to them. The response we got back via county staff was they wanted to hold off on signing that agreement pending talking to county council about additional funding request. Their board wasn't meeting over the summer, so that request wasn't going to go forward to county council until September, which, was a little, provided a bit of anxiety for us because we wanted to see that document finalized so we, knew our funding was secure. And then in September, we hadn't heard anything. At our September meeting, of course, when we discussed our 2026 budget. And of course, that agreement not being signed, there's still a lot up in the air. So Lori attempted to reach out to the chair of the Clearwater County Library Board to facilitate discussion, since that hadn't happened. Because up until that point, it's like, well, county staff are, somewhat acting as intermediaries with helping draft this agreement. Lori learned that the contact she had for the chair was not actually the chair. It was very unclear as to who or if there was a chair at that point, because their meeting minutes weren't clearly identifying what that situation was. And then it was a week or so later, we heard via town staff actually that Clearwater County Library Board had made a decision not to distribute any funding to Rocky Library Board. And then we received an official letter from them confirming that fact. So yeah, as Lori kind of briefly mentioned, the timeline has been, which I've kind of bullet pointed that out for clarification, which we're happy to share with you. Yeah, it's been unusual series of events because, until we knew definitively, like, oh no, this isn't happening, we thought, despite the lack of direct communication, we thought there was good faith that there would be an understanding of how significant that amount of money would impact our library and the services we can provide, and why would anyone make a decision that would impact their community in that way? Because of course we're not just serving the town, we're serving the wider region, Clearwater County as well. And in part, the bit of face-to-face conversation we did have at their organizational meeting, we got to see the bigger picture of their budget, and we completely understand they're in a position where they feel like they need to, because they're not just addressing Caroline, they're responsible for Caroline and Nordegg, they're serving the larger county. They feel like they need those additional funds, from the information they've shared so far, to support the work they want to do in the region and expanding their services and staffing, which is reasonable. It's just the timeline that's happening in puts us in a really precarious position.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Musker.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I can appreciate the difficult situation you find yourselves in. My question isn't regarding the timelines of it, but a couple of things. Friends of the Library. I'm curious if you could share with us what the role of Friends of the Library is and where they are in providing a source of funding for the library.
So Friends of the Library are an organization that many community public libraries have that support them with community volunteers that do advocacy or fundraising work for their municipal libraries. Our community currently doesn't have an active Friends group. That's something that that we have been working on for the last year or so, and there was some complication with government forms having lapsed and needing to be resubmitted, but that's in progress, and within the next, towards the end of the year, all of that should be resolved and have that group active again, and hopefully able to support some fundraising, without that having been in place. I don't know if it's a solution to this particular issue or this amount of funding, but
Yes. So for anyone that doesn't know, the beauty of a Friends of Library is they are able to do fundraising in ways that we can't as a corporate board. So they're like a bit of an arm's length, but they support the library. They can help, they can run book sales, they can do other kinds of fundraising events that we can't have. So we had the issue with the government forms, but we had a couple of members of the board that were really advocates, and as we all know, you need to have advocates for programs to really make them happen, and the one that we had spearheading did move away, so that took a little bit of the wind out of our sails, but it's very definitely it's something that will be upcoming here soon, but it's taking a little bit of time to get the organization back going, and that'll help support ongoing funding.
Okay, thank you. My second question is regarding financial reserves. As we know, it's like a savings account to kind of smooth out the speed bumps and unexpected costs just like this. I'm just wondering if the library has a financial reserves policy or a plan?
Yes, we do have a financial reserves policy and plan, and we have revisited it over the year. And we have actually some edits that still need to be approved by the current library board. Ben actually has a copy of the policy in front of him, the most recent, and we've got a few edits to it. We do have a reserve, just keeping in mind that these 2 years, the 2025 and the 2026 funding shortfall, Ben and I figured it out the other night. Ben figured it out the other night, and because I asked him to, and it would leave our reserves at $9,000, which is our updated reserve policy is meant to run the library for a period of 3 to 6 months, the operational costs, do you want to fill in any?
Yeah, so yeah, as the policy currently stands, it dictates that the library holds a minimum equivalent of 6 months. Of course, that's something that's in revision to bring that number down to 3 to 6 months. But with those revisions, the policy would dictate there be at least 121,000 in reserves. Currently, the current reserve amount is below that. It's about 102,000. But yes, if we did need to, draw on those reserves to account for these funding shortfalls, as Lori said, it would nearly exhaust those funds. And also, the funds are currently in a term deposit. That's been part of the discussion as when those accounts come to maturity, which would be February and March of 2026. We were planning to make adjustments to those to make sure they're more
Liquid.
liquid and accessible as needed. If we did need to withdraw those funds before the maturity date, there would be a penalty of approximately $2,500, which isn't ideal, but is what it is.
Yes, and also those reserves have been built up over a number of years of just, spaces in the budget, as we all know. When you have $5, you set it aside, and Ben's been really great about putting that money into the reserves, which is why we have some now, but it's shorter than what we would like if there was something catastrophic that were to happen.
Okay, thank you very much. And that does make perfect sense. If the reserves are tied up in investments that won't mature for another 4 months, it doesn't make sense to pull them out. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Kalen?
Just one more question, is that $46,000 in funding, you're not gonna ever see that back?
No,
So
not
this,
likely.
so this $23,000 request is gonna be something that is gonna be an ongoing ask?
Well, I think it's hard to answer that. That remains to be seen. Of course, to date, there hasn't been a face-to-face conversation between all the members of both boards. Part of the complication with this whole process is the Clearwater County Library Board that made the decision regarding these funds is no longer the board that's in place now. There was a high turnover with the recent organizational, because the initial board was set up as a transitional term board. So with the recent county organizational meeting, November 10th meeting that we just attended, aside from one trustee, it was an entirely new complement of board members, and many at that meeting did not know about this situation. They didn't have the context for what had happened and why, and what the funding structure looked like in the past. That's complicated the conversation. So, whether a future meeting between boards and conversation will result in different decisions being made, or all of that, or some of that funding being allocated towards our library, we can't say. Another thing that could impact this going forward is having looked at the Stronger Together intermunicipal framework document that town and county are working on. There is reference in that to the formation of an intermunicipal library board. And what that would mean would be that the Town of Rocky Mountain House Library Board and Clearwater County Library Board would be dissolved, and a new library board would be formed in their place to govern, the entire region. So our library, Nordegg, Caroline Library, and what that exact structure looks like, I can't say at this point. But there would be one single board overseeing the financials for the entire region. So there wouldn't be this same conflict, or it would be a board decision as to how the funds are distributed from there. And I don't know what the timeline looks like for that process to move forward, but I think Yeah, it,
It is something that we've indicated as a possible opportunity as well, so.
Okay. Councillor Stalker?
I just had a second question, and I hope not to hold you up too long. The Clearwater Library Board, when they made the decision, do you know what date that is so I can review those minutes? Like, like I remember you said July they had met, but
Yeah,
the
actually,
decision
it's
to
that.
not,
It's not actually clear because there's not an actual motion in the minutes.
okay, then
Okay.
that's all I would need to know, thank you.
We can, I mean, we do have, like I said, like we've said, Ben has prepared a timeline document that we didn't submit as part of our documents for this meeting, but we can always provide to you through staff.
yeah, as near as we can tell, it was at their September 8th meeting that it was confirmed they were retaining the entirety of
Yeah.
that provincial funding.
Thank you. Any further questions from council? I have one.
Sure.
So what you're trying to do is replace the original grant of $46,000 through funding from the town and the county, of which we'd pay half for. The county has got the 46,000. Do the programs offered in the county libraries, are we funding them as well? Like this, are you going to, I guess the question is, are you going to retain the same programs that the $46,000 previously looked after? So the allocation of the 46,000 that you're looking for, will it remain the same, understanding that Clearwater County will have accessed this monies to support their library? So I'm just confused. Are they getting additional programming money? And we're going to be duplicating dollars spent on programs that they'll be able to afford to have now that we used to support?
So I think a couple points, so the funds are going directly to the Clearwater County Library Board, which is a
Great.
distinct entity from Clearwater County.
Fair
It's not
enough.
the county receiving the funds, it's the board who's received them and made, the decisions that result in the situation we find ourselves in now. And I think part of their decision to retain funding is because they want, they see a need for providing more service for the service points that they're governing. Which looks like, it looks like the Caroline Municipal Library has hired a part-time programmer. They do want to expand services for those service points that they're responsible for. As far as, the funds we receive, I guess if we don't receive them, that would have a significant impact on the level of service and programs that we're able to provide. But I don't think there's necessarily a duplication. It's just,
It's unclear what they're, because they're just getting started with the new library board, what exactly they do have in the works for programming and planning. So we're not, and because we haven't been able to do that face-to-face, we're not sure where what exactly is going to go on. So it's a bit of a question mark right now, Deputy Mayor, so, and it's definitely, it is something that, like, we're considering, and all, I'm a resident of the county, and I grew up in this community, and as I came and I used the library board, or used the library in Rocky Mountain House all the time, as many residents of the county will probably continue to still do, just because of the resources and the programming. So we are at a little bit of a question mark right now, and in a tenuous situation.
Do you need the full amount of money? What happens if we don't find 23,000?
if we were to have, a shortfall of that amount,
I'm not
No.
suggesting 23,000, but if a portion of.
yeah, I mean, it would depend on the portion. We've discussed a bit, or the Rocky Library Board has discussed what the loss of 46,000 to our budget would look like. It would be a significant impact. We would probably need to lay off some staff. We would need to severely pare down our program offerings, it would be deeply felt by our community.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing no more questions, thank you both for coming in this morning.
Thank you for your time.
It's complicated, and I can appreciate the complication in this. So we will discuss this later on in our meeting and go from there.
Excellent.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Moving forward, we have the adoption of the previous minutes from our November 4th meeting. Has anybody got any errors, omissions, or comments about those minutes? If not, I'm looking for a motion to accept those minutes. Councillor Musker,
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that we accept the regular council meeting minutes of November the 4th, 2025 as presented.
thank you, Councillor Musker. Any questions? Ask the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. Delegation business. So we just heard from our friends at the library. Questions about that. Mr. Kraus, comments about looking for $23,000 in our budget and how we'd proceed with this.
Yep, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So if council wanted to fund the 23,000, we'd bring back a report for council, and it'd probably come out of council's priority reserve. I don't know what it's sitting at right now, but we'd bring back a report, but that's where
Okay.
we fund it from.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. Does any of the councillors have any comments? I guess I personally am confused about the ask. I'm confused because I'm just not sure if if the objective of our library board is to maintain all the programs as they were, which are programs that involve Caroline and Nordegg, and yet that the county would have funds or not the county, but the new library board would have funds available to them that could actually shore up the programs that this library board offered. So I was trying to get that answer, and I wasn't sure how to get the question out. So I guess where I'm at is I'm concerned that there's going to be a duplication of service between two library boards. And then to that, why do we need two library boards? How do we start a discussion there? They'd indicated that there was documentation where we could run with possibly one library board. I'm just not understanding.
I don't know what the question is there, but
Well, okay, fair enough. Okay,
So,
I guess the question is, why do we need to operate with two library boards for three libraries that have minimal budgets, really?
yeah, and we don't. So under the Libraries Act, you can create a intermunicipal library board, which Mr. Worth explained. It would be basically the dissolution of the two library boards and the creation of a regional one. Then all the funding would go there and all the programming would be there. So that is in our ICF, our intermunicipal collaboration framework, for councils to look at in the future, because we have a timeline for things to explore with the Clearwater County. I don't recall exactly what year that falls in, but that doesn't really matter. You can bring that forward at any time.
What is council's wish? Councillor Musker?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think we should expedite the process of amalgamating these boards, library boards, creating one board. Do we send that to ICC for discussion? If we do, I could make that motion. Mr. Gross, yes? So I move that, that this council direct ICC to look into creating one public library board for the county and the town. Is that adequate?
Thank you, Councillor Musker. Any questions to that motion? Okay, Councillor Stalker.
Sorry, not a question to that motion. I did have a question about the process of looking whether or not we're going to do that. Is that at service level review, or is that in the budgeting exercise, and where that discussion about the documentation that took place in this presentation should take place? like, it's clear I haven't worded that question very well to you, sir. There was a number of things they said today, and I'm wondering if the discussion around what they presented to us should happen at this point or during the budgeting process, our budgeting process for the town.
In relation to the funding and the two library boards?
Yes, to the funding request. I'll kind of lay it out. The funding request, from what I took away, they have the Clearwater, and I'll go back, the Clearwater Board, the new Clearwater Board has received that funding. It didn't sound like funding had been cut back. So then the question is, that isn't clear before us is where the money was reallocated to. If they're getting the same amount of money, why it isn't being allocated here, and I don't know that anyone around this table can answer that. That's why I was asking about the Clearwater minutes from the board, where the discussion was why they weren't allocating to Caroline, Nordegg, and Rocky.
It is a little convoluted, so maybe just to take a step back. So under the Libraries Act, a municipality can create a municipal library. Councils do that by establishing a bylaw. And once that bylaw is passed and the library is formed, it becomes its own corporate entity. So going forward, the responsibility for a municipal library for council is you have, basically three responsibilities. One, to fund it, which we do annually with a request from the library board. And that's the only funding decision that council makes, is how much you're going to give the library board. It's up to the library board to do their line-by-line budget items. So that's two, council appoints all the members to the library board. And three is just maintaining the library, keeping the bylaw in place. So we've always had we have since 1980, a municipal library, which is a separate entity. Out in Clearwater County, there was no municipal library board. It was never established by the Council of Clearwater County. So the libraries were set up in Caroline and Nordegg, were basically just citizens coming together and forming a community library, not an official legislative. But because of that, the province still funds them, but they did it through the Parkland Regional Library Board. So, and then the Parkland Regional Library Board dispersed the funds in the area. So they gave so much to Caroline, so much to Nordegg, and so much to the Rocky Library, because the Rocky Library supported or serviced a rural area. So now what has happened is Clearwater County has they have passed a bylaw to create a municipal library. So now they have the Clearwater Library Board. So now with the board being established and its own entity, the funds no longer go through Parkland Regional Library. It goes directly to that library board from the province. Now, so that's their money to do what they wish, what their library board wishes. When this first arose, Mr. Emmons reached out to me, and we talked about it, and about having an agreement so that funding stayed. But because the library boards are their own legal entity, Clearwater County and the town of Rocky cannot make that agreement because it's their own entity. So the anticipation was to establish a agreement between the two library boards to redirect that funding from the Clearwater Library Board to the Rocky Library. But they made the decision that no, they would keep that money to expand their library services in Caroline and Nordegg. Does that answer?
Yes, thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
okay.
Kraus. I had one more question in relation to the timing of our decision, whether or not we're going to put that $23,000 forward to the Rocky Library Board.
So I just want to get back on board. First, I want to talk about the motion we have on the floor, so we get rid of that, and we talk about the funding secondly. Councillor Musker has put a motion on there that ICC discuss the amalgamation, or possible amalgamation of the two library boards. So let us move forward on that motion. Anybody have any questions relative to that motion? Okay, let's make the vote. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried. So now to your question, Councillor. At what point do we discuss this? And I'm thinking this could be a service level discussion prior to we get into budget. So service level is prior, so I'm thinking we can discuss it at service level. Councillor Boniface.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to see some stress taken off the library and see what they need to hold over until we get this all sorted out, or is there any issue with
So-
that at that time? or-
So Mr. Kroos can correct me if I'm wrong, this is a budgeting item that will be in our next year's budget they're requesting, I'm thinking. So this could go through service level for discussion, and then at that point, it gets put into the budget, if we agree, and then that's where it'd be approved, is in our budget in December. Is that correct, Mr. Kroos?
Yeah, but I think actually they have presented council with two requests today in regards to that. One is the 23,000 for 2025, which is more of an emergency request. And then another 23,000 in the 2026 budget, which would go, we could discuss at service level and in the budget process. But they do have that request in front of council today for, well, I'll call it emergency funding, I don't know, for 2025.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Musker, did you have a question, or?
I did, but Mr. Kraus addressed it, so
Okay, thank you.
Well, it wasn't a question, it was a statement. Thank you.
So I guess what we have to decide is $23,000 in emergency funding. Are we prepared to allow that to happen? And to your point, Councillor Boniface, to fill the gap that's happening right now, or the bleeding. So if funds are available, then we would need a motion that we support that or don't support that. So I think, Mr. Kraus, you've indicated it would come out of our councillors' priority reserve. Councillor Stalker.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Around the discussion around whether the funding, if we're looking at 23,000 a day for the 25, the emergency funding, I'd like to, this is a little difficult. I wasn't happy with the understanding of whether our board has gone to their board and got a clear picture of what was going on. And certainly the reserve funds at 102,000 would take the reserve down into the 80,000, well, $79,000 in reserve still. Till that discussion happens, the money was there. And I think Mr. Kraus alluded to that. Maybe they're trying to enhance the board, enhance the Nordegg and Caroline libraries, and certainly as a bigger picture at ICC to have one board it would be easily address all of those issues. But I without knowing exactly why the 46,000 didn't come through, I'm not necessarily in favor. I guess I'm not in favor of putting forward 23,000, and would prefer that the Rocky board pulled on their reserves.
Councillor Musker.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Worth indicated that that money is tied up in term deposits till February or March, and there would be a penalty to that, which doesn't make sense to me. But that said, when I was on the library board, we were looking at all these things, and so this is in process. Unfortunately, this situation with all of a sudden the axe to their financial funding happens at a time when these decisions were in process and transitions were being made. So I would be in support of this, just to get them up through 2025.
Sorry, Councillor Wisk, are you be prepared to put the motion on the floor? That it comes out of council's,
I did
Right.
have a second comment related to that. Sorry.
we'll have discussion after the motion's on the
Thank
floor.
you.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that council funds the library's request for $23,000 and have it come out of the council priority reserve.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Stocker, you have a point?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm not opposed to funding it. I understand the significance of our library. I'm wondering if there would be any uptake in relation to loaning the money through to that period of time that they can cash in their investments without receiving all the interest and then paying back the town the 23,000. I think that's a win and gives our board a time to discuss why it didn't happen, why the 46,000 didn't come through. It gives ICC opportunity to move forward, hopefully in a one board for the whole location. And I think it addresses the need for a solid decision that isn't happening at this table around the Clearwater County Library Board. So I guess what I'm saying is if we loan the money until, and I don't know if that's possible, Mr. Kraus, we can loan them the money till such time as their investment comes through and then they pay us back.
Mr. Kraus, the question is, can we loan them the money?
We can, under the MGA for a nonprofit organization, but there's a process to that, so we would have to draft up an agreement, and I believe we need to advertise that to the public that we're going to loan money.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. Any other comments? And so where I'm at is I support the motion. This is interim bridge or interim financing. We as government don't move overly quick, so I think this gives us time to talk to our friends at ICC and just see where we can get this to go. And so in the interim, I think this is the route we take. So the motion on the floor is that we support through our council funds $23,000 to the library board to get them through this. Any further questions to that motion? If not, I will ask the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Okay, moving on. Tough discussions. So now we have our financial update. So we have Ms. Bodner and Ms. Quinlan coming to the table. And in our packs, there was the quarterly update that they are going to so kindly walk us through. Feel free, ladies, grab the mic. Let's go for it.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor, members of council, members of the public. I'm here today to present the operating and capital financial results to September 30th, 2025. You received a package which includes two different components. One was an operating component, one's a capital component. I'm going to start on the operating side, which is your page 25. So the statement of operations for the 9 months ending September 30th, 2025. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking at. So I'll just maybe, for the benefit of new council members, walk you through the document first. So the budget on the left side is council's approved annual budget for 2025. The 2025 column is the year-to-date results. The year-to-date results to September 30th. The percentage is the percentage of the 2025 actual over the budget, and then a budget variance column. We also provide comparisons for 2024, and then a year-over-year change comparison between the actuals. So if I start on overall our to September 30th, 2025, we're showing a net operating budget surplus of $125,188. That's on the very bottom of the document. But I will go through each piece. So back up at the top under revenues, overall revenues are coming in at 74% of the budget, which is on target. Sorry, I want to skip to the next page, so I will go quickly into expenses. So expenses are showing to 72% of the total budget, with a net excess over revenues over expenses of 89,000. Say that a lot. Then at the very, if you could advance the slide, thank you. We have a transfers to capital and debt repayments. That totals 3.4 million, or 86%, leaving us with the budget surplus. So on the next page, your page 26, I've got some detail there. In terms of revenue, so I'm going to basically look or talk briefly about the exceptions, if you advance the page. I'll talk about the revenue components that were outside of the 74%. So starting at the top of that, the general sales and fees were at 55% of the total budget. Year-to-date sales for cemetery, criminal record check fees, and general service fees are below our budget target. Next is our recreation sales and fees. Those were up at 104%. Mainly due to arena advertising, sales of fitness passes, pool lessons, admission, and this was partially offset by related costs. Fines and penalties were at 65% of the budget, primarily due to provincial fines, which continue to be below budget. Permits and licenses were up at 120%. This continues to be our building permit activity, which is currently at $51,000 above our current, or above budget, excuse me. Our return on investments were at 70%. Our average interest rate received on our investment savings account is approximately 4.2%, and keeping in mind we budgeted for 5%. So there's a slight risk there for a budget shortfall. So our total revenues received to September 30th are at $18,371,473. Any questions on that, or I can wait till the end of the presentation?
Does council have any questions to this point? Go ahead.
So moving on to the expense section. The legislative program was below budget at 63% of spending, and that's primarily due to reduced training, promotions, and professional consulting, which was related to the 2025 municipal election, which occurred in the following month. Administration is up at 82%. There's higher spending in central budgets related to legal, information technology, and postage. The other program that was outside of the 72 average percent was utilities at 63%, and that was primarily due to the delay in the startup of our new wastewater treatment plant, which is expected in the fourth quarter. So total expenses to the end of September, $14,804,322. For a total excess of revenues over expenses of $3.6 million. The next section, the transfers to reserves and debt repayment. Remind council that these items, these next items here, are generally dealt with at our year end. So we typically do some work on that during our year end process. So we've got general transfers to reserves, we've got utility transfers to reserves, some debt repayment amounts there, total to the end of September of $3.4 million. with a net operating budget surplus of $125,188. Questions before I proceed?
Councillor Stalker?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just had a quick question on the debt repayment. I would assume it's not one lump debt. I was just wondering the interest rate we're paying on that in relation to, and if you don't know, it's not a critical. I just wondered what that was.
Great. I don't have the specific interest rates, but we have several debentures that are issued. It used to be Alberta Financing, now it's part of the provincial government. But the interest rates are usually very competitive because the government's always been able to offer us lower rates. I do believe if you look at the financial statements, there's a note to the debentures. But, yeah, they're always lower.
Thank you. Yeah, I may have missed that as I went through the document. Thank you.
Any further questions? Go ahead.
Moving on to our capital summary, so that is your page 23. We've provided you with a capital statement as well as detail of each of our capital projects. And this particular document is broken down into two pieces. So the top section is the funding component of each, or a summary of the funding for the total projects. And then the project expense section is the breaking down of the different projects by area, by department. In terms of the vertical columns, so we've got a carry forward budget. So those are projects in progress or carry forwards from prior years. And that totals the carry forward at $15.2 million. The next column, the 2025 budget, are the projects that council approved to proceed in 2025, and those total $6 million. For a total capital budget for 2025 of $21.2 million. To date, so the 2025 activity is our spend to September 30th, 2025 of $11.2 million. And that is the primary spend is our wastewater treatment plant at $8.4 million. We've spent approximately 53% of that budget, leaving a carry forward at this point of nearly $10 million. And again, I welcome you to look at, I won't go into any great detail or any detail at all on the details, but feel free to answer any questions.
Okay, Councillor Stalker?
Sorry, I'm not experienced with these budgets, so I certainly appreciate your patience. The plant out at our wastewater plant, will that be paid off by the end of the year?
Paid,
Like
excuse me, Councillor, paid off?
Sorry? I don't know if that's the right wording. Are we going to owe additional money in 2026 on the plant other than, there's the operating costs, I understand that, but the plant itself, will it be?
So this particular document is showing our spend. So we've been approved on page, it's a carry forward project. So the total project on the wastewater treatment plant, and I'm sorry, I don't know your page number, was $11.5 million total. We've spent $8.4 million to date with a $3 million capital spend remaining to the end of the year. We anticipate to spend that in the fourth quarter of 2025.
And
In
will the-
terms of, go ahead.
Sorry, the capital investment, I guess, will it be fulfilled by the end of '25?
I believe, no,
Okay.
no.
Okay, no.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there may still be payments to be made in 2026. It's timing, you know, they do the work, then it goes through the engineers, and then we receive the payment. So there may still be a carry forward budget for that project in 2026.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's the
so-
carry forward, sorry.
Councillor Musker, I'm sorry. Your light is on?
It sure is. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. I'll try not to hide it behind my laptop.
Fair enough.
On the capital statement for the 9 months ending September 30th, there is a line called donation. There's nothing on it, but I wonder if you could address that, why that's there, and do we get donations, and for what?
I don't know that one.
Okay, that was, and we could have taken it out, that was funds that we received from Shell Canada. And we did use that we used that last year in funding part of the wastewater treatment plant, and we received, there was $1 million. It's been consumed, so, yeah, we probably should have removed that line, but it
Okay.
was in last year's.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stocker, do you have another question, or you're okay?
No, I apologize, sir. Forget the protocol.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. That was my presentation.
Okay, so I do have some questions, if I could, relative to capital projects and just where they're at and what they are. So the wayfinding sign program, we've got $200,000 in that with no allocated funds out of there. Do we have we haven't been billed anything for the wayfinding sign program as of September, I'm assuming? Would that be correct?
To my knowledge, not anything to the end of September 30th. I apologize. Do you have any other, sorry, we don't have any
Okay.
information on that.
That's good. The tree lighting program, this question could be for Mr. Kraus on Main Street. We have a $25,000 allocation for Main Street tree lighting. I just want to know where the program's at, or if we've done anything on that, or if we're going to see a spend yet this year of that $25,000.
Yeah, so actually our engineering department has ordered the tree lights, and they did a sample one because they looked at alternatives for future operating costs. So we aren't going with wrapping the trees because that's high maintenance. Every year they grow and they have to be adjusted. So what our Parks Department did was found a light that shines up into the tree, and I think there's actually one out there right now that they used to make sure it worked. So yeah, that project will be complete this year.
Okay. Thank you. And then my last question is relative to administration costs, and that's for the off-site levy bylaw review. And it indicates there's a company there, Christica? I just want to know, it says in progress. And I thought our off-site levy was complete, and we determined that we weren't going to have off-site levy, so I'm just wondering what's in progress in that.
Oh, that's, so the off-site levy bylaw review, that is done. That is complete. The one above it, the off-site levy bylaw review doesn't have a number by it, but Questica, the one above it, is that's a different project.
Oh, and what would that project be?
It's a finance.
Questica is the budgeting software that we use, and we have some funds that are still remaining, and we're using them if we are getting any customized reports or additional work done on our budgeting software.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Stocker?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just had one question as well. The bear-proof bins, I see there's still money, the same money remaining, and I don't know, are those the garbage bins that we see around the trail, or and is that going forward?
Yeah, no, it is, and I believe they're ordered. We just probably haven't seen the invoice yet, or I think they're actually sitting in the shop yard. But actually, that is the replacement from, I don't know, but we had a individual who liked to light them on fire.
Oh.
So these are actually replacing those. So.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Boniface?
So are they person burning type bear-proof bins?
Mr. Kraus?
Yeah, no, it's, yeah, so they are the steel ones, whatever, but it was the contents in there that they burnt, which warped the steel and all of that, so.
Can they still burn them now?
Yes, you can burn garbage, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Ms. Quinlan, you have, oh, sorry, Councillor
Go
Musker?
ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment because this is our first financial statement presentation to the new council. With capital, quite often, and even by the third quarter, sometimes you don't see all the expenditures. The work can have been done, but it can take us time to actually get the invoice and process it. So by year end and when we do the financial statement presentations, there will be substantially more in here, I hope. But there quite often is a delay, especially when it's a construction project.
Thank you. Councillor Musker?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a comment from a 10,000-foot view, operating surplus of 125,000, revenues on target at 74%, expenses under budget at 72%. Music to my ears. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a question from totally irrelevant. Ms. Quinlan, you may know this answer. At the convention, there's discussions about the school tax component and that we collect the school tax. When do we pay it to the government? How much do we collect on behalf of the province? And do we get any interest on their money prior to having to pay them?
Okay, I'll try to answer as much of it as I can. So we actually don't remit. They have a automatic payment that they just take the funds from us on a quarterly basis. So I've never actually done a calculation. When we collect property taxes, there's two ways we collect it. One is people that are on tips, so they pay from January through to December, and they're due in July. So some we collect a little bit ahead, others we collect a little bit behind. The remainder of people that pay just, annually, they pay by July 30th. So, I mean, technically, well, we have their money in advance. So we'd have to look and see. I mean, they collect end of March and end of June, so they've collected half. We get technically all of it by July, and then so there might be a little bit of overlap in terms of timing. We may make a little interest. I don't know if it would be significant, though.
So when they take their portion in March, because we're getting some through TIF and some paid in July,
Yeah.
how do they know what amount to take in March? Like, is there a possibility that they're actually taking more than we've collected in March? Or, the only reason I asked this is I've got involved, we did a resolution at the convention relative to school tax, which our resolution was passed. And then a counselor from another community came to me and said, well, do you know where you're at? And then he had all these questions. I'm going like, I have no idea what the answers are. And so I guess I'm asking these questions because they feel that the province is taking advantage of them. And so, and I just was going, like, we are nowhere close to the size of the municipality they were. So the dollars would be that much less. But are we actually, I mean, how do they know what amount to take in March? And are they taking more in March than we're actually collecting at that point? Yeah. Like, I just don't know.
We would have to look at that, but basically the requisition that they set for the year, they just divide it by 4 and they collect a quarter of it on each quarter.
Okay.
If I could maybe add, just at the year end, they will do an under or over kind of adjustment
Okay.
if there is a balancing issue with that.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Do you have anything more you wish to report on this morning?
No, thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Okay. So I am looking for a motion to accept the report. So somebody prepared to make that motion, please? Yes. Councillor Boniface.
I move that council accepts the September 30th, 2025 Operation Variance Capital and Capital Project listing reports for information.
Thank you. So that's the motion. Does anybody have any questions to that motion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much for the report, as always. As always, it's very good. Okay, moving on down the agenda, we have, the next item is 7.2, committee appointments. And so this has to do with us changing some committees. So, Mr. Kroos, did you want to briefly touch on this, and then we can go forward from there?
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So through council's correspondence, and after the committee list went out, there was some discussion among council about maybe shifting some or one committee just to even things out. So to do that, council would have to pass a resolution. So we're just bringing it forward for council's discussion if any changes are desired, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Kroos. So, Councillor Stocker, you are prepared to take a committee on, and someone's prepared to give one up. Well, maybe just make reference to that and what it was.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, once we got done the committees and appointments to those committees, I noticed that I was probably not pulling my share and certainly wanted to make sure that we all kind of spread out that workload. So I offered to the other councillors if they felt that they had a little more workload, that I could take that on. And Councillor Boniface Denise had come forward and said that she would put over the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance and allow me to take that on to kind of give her a little more balanced workload and myself a little bit better. So I think I'm certainly willing to accept that workload as well.
Okay, so I'll be looking for a motion. If someone's prepared to make the motion that we would realign our committees and take Councillor Boniface off the North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance and put Councillor Musker on there, if I can get that Stocker, sorry. Thank you. Councillor Stocker on that. If I can get that motion.
Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Sinclair.
I will make the motion that we make adjustments to the committee appointments for Councillor Boniface to step down from the North Saskatchewan Watershed and Councillor Stocker to take over that responsibility.
Thank you, Councillor Sinclair. Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much on that. The next item we have is 7.3, and that is a notice of motion for Councillor Stocker. And if you would like to read that motion so we all know what that is, and then we can go from there. Go ahead, Councillor Stocker.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Be it resolved that council place the name, phone number, and email address for the mayor and all councillors on the closed session screensaver.
Thank you very much. So I guess the first question is, anybody got any questions? And then the second part of that, is it possible to do that? So I guess to Ms. Button, is that a possibility to make that happen?
Yes.
Thank you. Knowing we can make that happen, is there any further questions? So the motion is as read. Is there no comments? Let's ask the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, 7.4, there. And 7.4 is notice of motion again, Councillor Stocker, and this has to do with the service level review. So if you wish to read your motion, and then we can discuss that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Be it resolved that council hold the 2025 service level review in open session for the public, and the sessions be broadcast live for public.
Thank you, Councillor Stalker. Questions to that? Any questions or comments? So this is to do with service level review.
I had, sorry.
Councillor Stalker, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I did have, I gave this a lot of thought, the resolution itself, and I jotted down some things so I didn't get too confused and got straightforward and concise. So I wrote down some stuff. So it's fellow councilors, administration, public. I've jotted down a number of things here. During the election campaign, by going door to door and after knocking on over 1,580 doors, a consistent theme came forward. The electorate shared their frustration with lack of information transparency in a number of closed sessions that were taking place, among other things. In my estimation, this wasn't a small sample size taken from Facebook, but true concerns of our citizens. I'm very humbled to have been elected, but truly feel I was not only elected to make decisions, but to try and represent the wishes of people. I'm sure this is the same for all of my fellow councilors here as well. When I reflect on what I heard on the doorstep, it really came down to engagement, one complaint of engagement. The electorate are looking for an opportunity to understand and be involved and provide feedback on decisions and directions we are charting for their community. The question truly becomes when and where, at what stage that engagement and feedback occurs. The matter at hand, we just read the resolution, and just for the public, a service level review, I'll kind of just give them a quick, if everybody's okay with that.
Yes,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Thank you. For the public that are viewing and the record, a service level review is a systematic review of municipal services and programs designed to help municipalities evaluate and determine the most fiscally responsible and appropriate way to deliver these services and programs. It's also one of the earliest steps in the priority budgeting process. The process allows municipalities to set priorities and create potential for innovation, efficiency, and cost-saving methods to deliver services that a municipality has deemed as important and essential. A review of local services and programs can be undertaken to improve current service, meet new service demands, and/or maintain the current service by finding efficiency to reduce cost and delivering. First and foremost, as all you're aware, this is my first term on council, and I have not been to a service level review. But I have reviewed the 139 pages available to the public about the 2024 service level review at the Alberta Alberta Municipality. Spoke with the Director of Advisory Services. To say the least, this process is extensive and comprehensive. It is clear from the documentation that a number of the items discussed will need to be in-camera items to ensure confidentiality, involve land, labor, or legal, or are sensitive in nature. But other items are the subject of public documents and are readily available to public. In hindsight, this is important for my fellow councilors. In hindsight, this is my second resolution, wasn't fleshed out as it did not encompass the need for in-camera discussions and presents council with an either-or choice that does not meet the legal requirement for some items to be held in camera and require that level of confidentiality. As such, I welcome amendments as needed. And what I'm saying in plain English is that if the items that are identified for service level review are sorted prior to the review as in-camera items and public items, I believe this approach will meet public expectations around engagement and transparency and will also meet our oath of confidentiality and legal requirements. This approach, I suggest, will provide the public with the earliest opportunity for engagement on a number of topics and discussions and start the feedback loop before the horses get out of the barn and we've made a decision that the public weren't aware of. Additionally, I believe the approach is the start of changing the public's perception around openness and transparency, and it will enhance public engagement. I welcome the discussion to follow.
Well, thank you, Councillor Stalker. Anybody have any further comments? Councillor Kalin.
Thank you, Mayor. Being as this is my first month in council, a couple questions. In the past service level review, have they been broadcast in their entirety?
And no, they have not.
And this might even sound more foolish, is how often is a service level review taken?
Prior to the budget cycle in the fall of the year. So it's pre-budget discussion. So public is aware and can attend all the budget meetings, and so that's open to the public. This is sort of the preliminary thing. As all levels of government typically have areas where they discuss stuff as to how they're going to move forward. And so that's really what the service level is all about. The name may not be right. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm not sure if Mr. Kroos wants to add to that or not. I think the only, to your comment, one thing that we've done is we've got many new faces around here. And I think Councillor Stalker said, hey, this is my first kick at the cat. I'm not sure what's going on. And I think I feel for the people who don't know what service level is all about. As you alluded to, I think that we're premature in having this discussion until you do one cycle. Once you do one cycle, you'll be far more informed into how the process works and what the discussion's all about. Councillor Stalker's totally correct. You'd be in and out of in-camera and out of camera. It'd be like, I think it'd be too much. So I'm not sure if that answers your question or not.
Absolutely does. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Musker.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have to agree with Councillor Stalker that it's very important that the public know what's going on. There's a lot of good conversation here. I do recommend that everybody go through one before they make a decision. So I'm going to do something unusual. I'm going to make a motion to postpone this motion. It's important that council has all the pertinent information regarding Councillor Stalker's motion so that members can make a well-informed decision when voting. To that end, I move that we postpone this motion until the December 16th, 2025 regular council meeting. Further, that council instructs administration to bring back a report regarding service level review to the December 16th, 2025 regular council meeting that includes legislative requirements under the MGA, best practices for conducting a service level review, how other municipalities conduct their service level reviews, as well as any other information that administration feels would benefit council.
Thank you, Councillor Musker. And to Mr. Kroos, we have two motions on the floor, which is totally not kosher. So we have Mr. Stalker's motion and then Councillor Stalker's, Councillor Musker's. Tell me about process. What do I need to do?
So you would deal with the postponing motion first. And then if council passes that, then Councillor Stalker's motion is postponed to the date specified.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, so we've heard what the process is. Does anybody have any questions? Councillor Boniface.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm stuck in the middle of both of them. So I'm not going to make a resolution or whatever, but the offer of the middle road would, instead of it being in camera, could we have agendas stating what our discussions are so that they know what's on the table? But again, I've never been to one, so I don't know, just an offering.
So I'm not totally sure what you're asking.
So like we have an agenda every time we do a meeting, and then we have the agenda that says what we're going to talk about in our closed sessions. Like after this meeting today, there's topics there. So would there be an agenda at the service level so that the public would know what we're talking about?
So service level meetings definitely have agendas. About 500 and some odd pages of agenda and material. So they're definitely there. I think your question is, can we put the agenda online so people see what the agenda of the in-service meeting is? So, so because there's a motion on the floor that we have to deal with, I think that we need to ask the question of that motion, and then that could be a discussion at the 16th of December meeting as to what the process is. Now, due to timelines, unfortunately, we're going to be past service level at that point. So being an election year, everything is tight, and tighter. So at this point, I think that the motion on the floor is we adjourn this to the December 16th council meeting and discuss the future as to what that happens. So, Councillor Musker.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just picked the December 16th regular council meeting off the calendar. I would defer to Mr. Kraus if that is too soon, or if he would prefer it into January. I know we have a busy month ahead of us.
Mr. Kraus, what's our agenda looking like timelines?
Well, we're pretty busy for the next few weeks, but could probably pull a report together for December 16th.
It's after the fact, so it would be no issue to take it into January in reality. So no need for the administration if they have a busy schedule. So, I mean, I would say we can definitely push it into January as well. I appreciate your administration's efforts to try to satisfy the request, but I think to Councillor Musker's point, it's past that point. So if a January date is better, please feel free.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to move that we postpone this motion until the January 6th, 2026 regular council meeting.
Okay. It's a friendly change to the to your motion. Any discussions? Councillor Stalker.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I guess the crux of my motion to change it, and I'm not doing that right now, is that, and I'll need to ask Mr. Kraus if it's possible to sort those things that don't need to be under the Access to Information Act, need to be protected under 29. I think it's section 29, but doesn't. And
So I think just,
Yep.
I think in order, I think we got the motion on the floor, and I hear where you're at. I think you're taking it to that discussion of what that motion will be about in January.
okay, I'll try
So-
to word it differently, sir, if that's possible.
Okay, is it the same information? Because it's the same information we've already heard. I just want to make
No.
sure we're getting different information.
I'm just asking, I was asking for a change to the resolution that I put forward to encompass splitting the two, and I don't know if that's clear, because now the adopting the resolution that Councilor Moser would, it won't address this year's meeting. So I don't know if I'm repeating myself, and I apologize if I am.
So your motion's on the floor, your notice of motion. Overriding it is Councillor Musker's motion. And so, in this case, we need to deal with the motion that deals with putting yours to January 6th. So, Councillor Musker, you're okay? Okay. So the question is, the motion, Councillor Musker's motion, we delay this, have administration bring back a report January 6th as to how service level will look in the future. Trust me, I hear you loud and clear and where you're at. I just want to make sure we get process in place. So I'm going to ask the question. All those in favor of shifting Councillor Stalker's motion to the January 6th council meeting and administration bringing back a report on that? So that, I believe, is the motion, or there around. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Okay. Correspondence.
Do we need to deal with my motion?
No,
Thank you.
your motion's now January 6th.
Thank you.
So, okay, correspondence for action. Maybe before we get into this, we should have a 10-minute comfort break. So I just take a quick break. welcome back. We're back online and continuing on our agenda. We are at 8, correspondence for action. So 8.1 is the Cape Board of Directors election and call for nominations. So in our packages, there was a letter from Cape, and they are looking for board members for Cape. I did talk to the mayor. He sits on Cape as our representative from the town. The suggestion that he had is that possibly Councillor Stalker, who felt his agenda wasn't too tight, that we could put his name into that blank, and if he was interested in representing or sitting as a member on Cape. So Cape basically meets 9 times a year. They take the summer off, they take December off for meetings. The majority of their meetings are held in Red Deer. Part of them are online meetings, so you don't have to go to Red Deer. Councillor Stalker, are you interested in putting your name forward for this?
Certainly, now I may go the other way, but certainly am. Thank you for that opportunity.
Okay. So, Councillor Sinclair.
I would also like to put my name forward for this as well.
Okay. So we can put names forward. The application was online with the letter that came from Cape. So I would suggest that I'm not sure if administration fills that out. Okay. So we can forward those 2 names. Is that okay, Mr. Kraus? Okay. So we need a motion that we put those 2 names forward to sit on the board for Cape. Councillor Kalin.
I'd like to put forward a motion that we have Councillor Stalker and Councillor Sinclair as board members for Cape.
Thank you, Councillor Kalin. Any other questions? Going to ask the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Correspondence. So this item's 9.1 through to 9.4. Those letters were in the package. Any questions on any of those letters? If not, I'm looking for a motion that we accept as correspondence items 9.1 to 9.4. Somebody prepared to make that motion?
I'll make
Councillor
that motion.
Stalker?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll make the motion that items 9.1 through 9.4 be accepted for information.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Ask the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Administration reports. Those are,
The Deputy Mayor, that's a typo error on the agenda. Typically that comes not at this meeting, so it's just a typo.
okay, we will eliminate. Thank you. So then the action list, it has no action on it. So,
Yeah, no, but there should be an action on there. So that is the travel and expense policy to come back in the December 16th, 14th meeting, or 16th meeting. So that's when we'll bring it back for council's consideration.
okay, thank you. So I'm just looking for a motion that we accept the action list as information. Councillor Musker?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I move that we accept the action list for information.
Thank you very much. I'll ask the question. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And moving forward then, we have administrative inquiries. Do we have any administrative inquiries around the table? I see, other than myself, there's likely, so let me ask, I only have 2. Number 1 is about water testing for our water treatment plant. Someone had made a comment at the table I was sitting at the convention about having to send all of our water testing to Edmonton, or they had to send all their water testing off. Do we send all our water testing off on a regular basis to Edmonton? And if we do, how do we do it? And the question was, if we have people coming to our hospital on a daily basis to pick up stuff for testing, can we tag team with them to save money? So I just got this from another counselor from another community who brought it forward. So that's just a question I have.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Great question for Gary on tomorrow's tour.
Okay.
We do send our water out to testing, and I believe it's Red Deer, because it's tested daily. I'm not too sure of the criteria, but I know like we do in-house testing. Some testing has to go out for Alberta Health Services and in Alberta Environment. I know even sometimes we send our test results to Edmonton if it's a rush. For example, if we have a water main break and we flush, so we take a test after we fix the water main break to get people off of boiled water, we'll send that sample right to Edmonton so we get the results faster for our citizens to go off any warning. But for a detailed analysis of our water testing procedures, tomorrow would be a perfect time to ask.
Good. Thank you for that. Tomorrow it'll be. Then the second one is the security glass at the front counter. That glass was likely installed originally for COVID purposes, and many people, I've heard comments from Joe Public saying they feel that it's not friendly when you come into the town office, and they question whether in fact it needs to be there anymore. The counter's there, there's stuff there. I just throw that out there. I don't know. I just wonder if we do need that, if it was put there for COVID reasons, and if it's security, they said, hey, banks don't have it, nobody has it, that have got far more items at risk than they think the town has, and that it's user not friendly. So I just toss that out there. I'm not sure how it's perceived or what its purpose is.
Good question. It was initially installed for COVID, obviously. But I know our staff feel more safe and secure with it up just from past incidents. So it is there for a security reason at this time.
Is there a point where we can review that need?
To be honest with you, I would like to have a discussion with staff because we have to provide a safe workplace for everyone and what their comfort level is. So if council provides me that liberty to have a discussion with staff and come back to council, I would appreciate it.
That'd be totally fine.
Thanks.
Councillor Stalker.
I didn't have an inquiry, but almost a month in, I think we're 2 days short of being a month in, I'd really like to thank Mr. Kraus he has been invaluable to, I wouldn't even suggest I'm on my feet, but certainly I'm not stumbling as far as I would. And I'd like to thank you, sir, for the support that you've provided, and no doubt to everybody around the table that's new at this. You've been, like I said, invaluable, and you've really made my first 28 days, maybe it is now, a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Well, thank you, Councillor Stalker, but we have a whole team of staff supporting council, so I would have to push that down to all of our great staff, so.
I apologize to those around the table as well. Thank you for that. It's truly, the staff here have been just open and welcoming and really have been super supportive across the board.
Thank you, Councillor Stalker, and appreciate that. I echo the same and have. So anyway, moving on, the next thing is we have administrative, a notice of motions. Does anybody have any notice of motions? No notice of motions. Seeing none, we're going to look to take a short 5-minute break, and then we're going to go into closed session. So once we go into closed session, I'll be looking for a motion that we move into closed session. So just take a few-minute break to clear the house and go from there. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we are back at it again, and I'm just looking for a motion from someone that we move into closed session, please. Councillor Sinclair.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I make the motion that we move into closed session.
Thank you very much. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, so we had a motion to move out of closed session, so we're now going in. I'm looking for a motion to accept the administration's report. Councillor Kalen.
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion to accept CAO dialogue for information purposes.
Thank you very much. Any questions? The question, all in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And being the end of our agenda, I will so move for adjournment.